You've been told if you keep your head down, work hard, and prove yourself, recognition, promotions, and opportunities will come. But let's be honest, that's just not true. This is Lead Without Limits, a podcast for professionals in multifamily and beyond who are ready to stop second-guessing themselves. Because leadership isn't just about titles or tactical skills. Yes, we'll cover those here, but real leadership starts from within. It's about changing the beliefs and behaviors that have kept you playing small and rewiring the thought patterns holding you back. I'm Shanenn Bryant, a confidence and pattern expert, and this is the space where we talk real growth, real change, and maybe have a little workday humor along the way. This episode is brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network, delivering the latest news, ideas, and inspiration across the multifamily sector. If you're ready to lead without fear, lead without doubt, and lead without limits, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of Lead Without Limits. I'm your host, Shanenn Bryant. I'm excited for this episode today because it talks about one of the topics that comes up a lot when we talk about leadership and, the corporate environment, and that is being promoted and then, what happens after that? So I have with me today Noel Massie, and he's a retired VP of U.S. Delivery Operations for UPS and the author of the book, Congrats, You've Been Promoted. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Shannon, for that introduction. I appreciate it. I look forward to the conversation today.
Yeah, me too, because I think, it's like getting promoted is such an exciting time. It's so fun. Usually people make a little bit more money. They've now got maybe a team that they supervise, and it can look very different. So one day I'm 100% know what I'm doing and I feel good about my tasks and I feel good about the work I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, everything's changing. So it's an exciting time, but then everything is different, right?
Oh, no doubt. That's why the title of the book is what it is. Congrats, you've been promoted, because that's what actually happens, right?
Yeah.
The person is looking for that opportunity to be more than what they entered the organization as. And then the day happens and someone comes over to them and they say, congrats, you've been promoted. And then so it's what's next. So the book is really a foundational component for a leader, a young leader, to be able to begin their journey in the leadership category, because it is a profession. It's not rocket science, but it is science. And there are things early in a career, like when I was young and started mine, that had a lot to do with my impetus for this book, that you just don't know. And if you have some foundation to work with, you're just going to do better. And this book is aimed based on my over 40 years of leadership experience, on my observations, learnings, things I actually taught in my career to young leaders. So that's the foundation of the book. Just for that.
Yeah.
Function. Yep.
That's so good. I think everybody needs that of, everything's changed. Now I have all this different role, because I don't think that supervisors are taught enough or have enough training around, how do I train now a new supervisor? Somebody who maybe has never been in a supervisor role before. Right. So, because also when we're in it and we've been doing things for a long time, we forget what it's like to be brand new at something, and they don't know what they don't know. So could you give us maybe the top 3 things that you think, if I'm new to this role and I'm a new leader, what do I need to know?
Before I answer that question, I'll say, to your listeners that as Vice President of U.S. Delivery Operations for UPS, I was responsible for the day-to-day activity to support and help guide that engine, which is a couple 100,000 people and around 12,000 leaders. And one of the biggest challenge I was having, along with the other business unit presidents, was succession planning. Right, baby boomers were leaving, and they were leaving quick. And now you have Gen X and Y are tipping that same scale. And people were being promoted by need in moments that we didn't see coming. And they weren't getting the training, and they weren't prepared in a way that we typically would have done that. And that wasn't just us. That was many corporations, actually. I had peers in other corporations, presidents, general managers that I would talk with often, and we would share some of the same thoughts. So when it's all said and done, the training that a person needs foundationally is very multidimensional. But if they were promoted, they have some knowledge of the job they were doing. That's fair, right? If they were an accountant and then they became head of the team of accountants, they know what accounting looks like. If they were driving a forklift, and yesterday they were one of 10 forklift drivers, and tomorrow we go, now you're leading the 10 forklift drivers, right? And that's exactly what happens when someone gets promoted. But the derailment rate, meaning people that don't succeed in a very short period, was elevating very high. It was going up because if people aren't prepared, if you're promoting people before you actually think they're really ready, then the training would become challenging. So that being said, it's really multidimensional what a person needs. But here's what's important to get back to your question. So you asked what 3 things? Well, I'll tell you that the first most important thing is to understand one of the main foundations in the book of value-based leadership is that's exactly what it is. It's very intentional. Is that a leader needs to be intentional in their value-based objectives with the people under them. And that can't just be an assumption, right? Okay, I'll have integrity for the next year and then they'll know I have it. No, you announce that in our group, everything we do is going to be about integrity. If it's not right, we're not doing it. We're going to be ethical. If it's not right, we're not doing it. So in the book, it talks about those things. And it also talks about one of the most important parts of a leader's responsibility is fairness in the workplace. Like what that means is you don't get to have favorites, period. Because bias shows up quick. And whoever is the best worker, and those folks typically, right, they're going to get favor from the boss. And then that becomes bias to the other 9, right? If you have 10 people. Right. And that bias can bite you quickly. And so the book talks about how you build credibility with a team is by being credible with your values intentionally and not allowing it to be something unspoken. It has to be spoken. So that is the most important thing. And then I talk about introducing yourself to your people. Because you think about for most people anyway, what happens when they meet their partner's parents for the first time, right? They put on their best everything, right? Best face, best clothes, best everything, okay? Right. And here's what's even more ironic. When they're applying for credit for a house or a car, right? They want every T crossed, every I dotted. They no, I want these folks to know I am credible, right? I'm going to do all this work. Well, when we give you 10 human beings or 20 human beings to lead, they need to know you are credible in the same way. You have to introduce yourself to them individually. Sure, you're going to meet them as a group. But in the first 30 days, your goal would be to meet with every single person individually. So you can set the terms and conditions of the group. Because the foundation of my book is terms and conditions. People have them. If I were to say, Shanenn, what are the terms and conditions you personally have to engage in a long-term friendship, relationship? What are they with your children? Whatever. You would write some things down. And they're kind of predictable. Listening, respect, right? Those are values. And so you would write them down. And so the leader needs to articulate that on the front end of the relationship to the team. Here are our terms and conditions: integrity, ethics, fairness, listening. Those are important things to articulate.
Yeah. And I like earlier when you were kind of talking about the consistency part, because and I'm surprised how often an organization or a team may not have these are the performance expectations, these are the behavioral expectations, and then kind of what's going to happen if that's not met. So I think that's sort of also a way, hey, I'm introducing these to the team, and I'm going to be consistent with these.
Yes.
That seems important.
It holds the leader accountable. I mean, if I'm your new leader and I say, Shanenn, nice to meet you, we're having coffee, and I say, just want to let you know that this is so we can have congruence on the way we see, behavior in our jobs. And, at the end of the day, a lot about what you do, and I value that. And if you have input to give me, I want to know about that. Those are the kinds of terms and conditions to be set in the introductory phase. But beyond that, and that's kind of not unusual, but beyond that, the values I talked about earlier say, hey, listen, one of my strong foundations, Shanenn, is integrity. Is that in everything we do, we're going to have integrity, right? That's just the way things need to be. So if there's something you believe doesn't look that way, I want to be the first to know about that. The other thing is ethical behavior, right? If it's not right, we're not doing it. Ethical behavior is honorable conduct towards others. And so, Shanenn, that is a strong value for me. And then finally, listening, and in the book I ask the question of the new leader. I say, is listening a skill or a value? Which one is it? Is it a skill or is it a value? So how do you see it? What do you think?
I'm guessing that you're going to say it's a value, but I think I've always heard it as a skill.
It's both.
Interesting.
And here's why. And so in the introductory phase of a leader meeting their team, that's a great place to begin, not necessarily asking the employee that question, but the point is that you value people. The people you value are the ones you listen to. Okay, it's both.
Yeah.
Right? So in the book, I talk about the proper way to listen. Shanenn comes up to Noel. Noel, you have a minute. Okay, here's the thing, right? I never need to ignore that. I can say, yeah, in a few. But when we have the conversation, I stop, put the phone down, I'll pause, and I think about the tone and temperament you had when you asked me that question. And then I listen. I go, okay, Shanenn, what's on your mind? What do you have? It's your dime. Okay. And I let you talk. I do not interrupt you. And I also have a skill, because in the book are exercises, a lot of them actually, to help them de-escalate the person who, my check's wrong. Okay. Listen,
right.
I needed my pay. One day of pay is missing. I needed it. And the person comes in hot. And I'm in a conversation with 3 other employees. What do I do in the moment? I'm new. I've been in the job 3 days. The person coming at me is 57. I'm 27. Okay. What do I do in that moment? It's kind of like driving a car and something flies in the road, right? You've been driving long enough to know that you have skill and reaction time to avoid that. The same thing happens in real life with people. Is when you practice doing something, you get better at doing it. And the fact of the matter is that those spontaneous moments are the ones where credibility is won or lost. That's where it's won or lost, right? Employee comes at you hot and they're yelling, and you can de-escalate them and come out with a win-win circumstance is important.
Yeah, because that's probably one of the harder pieces, especially for a new manager, new supervisor, is when there's some friction there, right?
That's
or
right.
Some conflict.
That's right.
Because once again, we're not, maybe used to how to handle conflict very well. So I would say that's probably one of the harder ones. What can you give us one tip that we can do when there is conflict like that in that type of situation to de-escalate it?
Yeah, sure. So in the book, I talk about the 4x5 method. And I give the reader a technique. And the technique is based on every situation. The conversation is going to be directional, number one, right? And as a leader, you get to respond to the employee from 4 perspectives.
Okay.
Shanenn didn't get paid. So you can give that employee your perspective. That's your viewpoint. You can give them their viewpoint, which is the most powerful. You can give them the company's viewpoint or the customer's viewpoint, depending on the circumstance. And then there's 4 intensity levels that every situation can be managed through. Intensity 1 through 5, like shifting through a car. Intensity 1 would be not necessarily this paycheck example I'm talking about, but intensity 1 would be the lowest intensity that the supervisor would answer to the employee in, right? And it would be, Shanenn, I would like to talk to you. Or you come in at me hot and I go, Shanenn, I'd like you to calm down. That's intensity 1. You're screaming and you won't stop. And intensity 1 was, Shanenn, I'd like you to calm down. 9 out of 10 times you come down with me to where I am. And the perspective I would use is, Shanenn, I understand you're upset. This is employee point of view. Shanenn, I understand you're upset. I get it. I'd like you to calm down. So I'm not thinking about, I already have an idea of what that's going to produce for me. Shanenn, I know you're upset. Show empathy. I talk about that in the book. The first entry point is empathy, de-escalation, perspective. Now, let's say you came to work in tennis shoes and it required steel-toed boots. And now you show up in tennis shoes. I'm like, okay, we're on a work site. You're not going to be able to work in them things. And you were rushed and you need to work today, but you're wearing these tennis shoes. And like, Shanenn, I'd like to talk to you a minute. Intensity 1, because it's,
right,
about the shoes you wear. Number 1, company point of view, tennis shoes are not allowed on the work site. Number 1, Shanenn. Employee point of view. Number 2, you would get hurt. And I understand it's important for you to work today, but I also understand you need to be able to go home safely today. Okay.
So are you saying that we need to go through all 4 viewpoints,
No,
or we kind of choose based on the situation?
That's exactly right.
Yep.
So I use 2 in that example, company and employee.
Yeah.
The most powerful point of view always is someone's own.
Right.
Always, right. People always see their point of view the most, the best, and it's what they'll support the most, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the most powerful. But there are circumstances. So when something comes up, situations like the work shoes, situations like the paycheck. And then I ask the person, okay, now go rehearse them with your family. Go have your family, go have a friend or a family member be missing pay on their check. Here's the point. By giving them a situational approach. Because now if you wouldn't stop screaming and I'm at, Shanenn, I would like you to calm down, and you won't. Now I shift the gear to second gear. Hey, Shanenn, you need to calm down. You can feel it. Because amplification of voice should never denote intensity, ever. People should never, ever, ever raise their voice to communicate importance, right? It's I would like, I need, we must. Those denote how important something is. And
so
if I
it's the language, not the volume.
That's exactly right. The person actually will listen to you more intently at a lower amplification of voice. When people speak, it's like if I go, hey, Shanenn, this is important. You're going to listen to that a lot more than to go, Shanenn, this is important. You're like, whoa, right? It's ineffective. Number 1, it's ineffective. So I teach, I want the new leader to understand that amplification of voice is never to be used in a conflict situation with an employee. I mean, if someone's about to get hit by an item falling off a shelf and you go, stop, that's probably okay. Right. But not when we're in a discussion of training, development, and coaching, ever. Because leadership is coaching. Leadership is coaching. And the one other point I want the business owner who has new leaders to understand, leadership is really one thing and one thing alone. And it's the ability to influence the behavior of an individual or a group. That's what leadership is. You're able to influence them to follow you. When you can create influence to create outcomes, laying cement, building a house, doesn't matter, and they're doing excellent work. You have to be able to influence your team, period. And so the techniques you use will define how good you are at that. It is not, like I said, it's not rocket science, but there is a science to it.
Yeah, I love when you were talking about the volume of your voice and using different language to show intensity versus that volume. I think that's a great thing. A lot of us are used to like, oh, if I want to be heard, I talk louder. So I would even say that that's a practice and a skill in itself to understand
No doubt.
that it's more effective in this way. And so something good, again, we can practice that on our loved ones at home as well, right?
Yes, you can. Exactly. The other important, and I actually give an exercise in the book of a supervisor that was in a situation. It was really hot. He was talking to a group of union employees, and his name is Paul. And this happened 30 years ago. But in any event, he was able to de-escalate a really hot employee. It's because he understood the 4x5 method exceptionally well. And so when the employee came at him, he did the most important thing you must do. He looked him directly in the eye, and he didn't let the employee's eyes leave his eyes. That's important. So if I'm talking to you and you turn your head away, I go, look at me. And I go, I understand. I get why you're angry. I get it. The person will come down from 110 degrees to 20 degrees in a minute. When they know you get it, that you empathize, and you say to them, I understand. I am going to do everything I can for you in this moment.
Right.
Okay. That's how you de-escalate them. Then you can move the conversation to a productive place. And that's where people generally miss. It's like missing the first step of a ladder. That's generally what ruins the moment and creates resentments and all kinds of huge things occur because you didn't get step A correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think most people, not just that they want to be heard, that's definitely a part of it, but they also want to feel like, hey, this thing that happened, I'm not, this isn't outlandish for me to be upset about this. Like
Exactly.
I'm missing money.
A
right?
whole day's pay. That's right.
Yeah. So kind of that agreement of like, yeah, I get that it is a big deal. I agree with you.
Sure. And you think about, and it's relatable from a number of dimensions. You think about when you get on the phone with a credit card company or the cable company, and they show zero empathy to you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That doesn't make things better. It doesn't make you feel good. It deteriorates your relationship with that organization. The same thing happens one-to-one. When you treat a human being in that fashion, I don't care if they've been working for you for 3 or 4 years. Okay. There is a cause and effect to that. And so trust, which is important to have with your team, comes from keeping your word with your team. People go, well, how do you build trust? I go, keep your word. When someone asks you something, just keep your word. Don't ever break your word. As a matter of fact, use the phrase with them. You have my word. And when you say that to your team, they go, hey, are we going to know about the blah, 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 blah? Because the information is not available. Listen, I'm going to get the information. They're telling me in like an hour. Here's what you have. As soon as it's in my hands, you have my word that the next thing I'm going to do is inform you. That's how you build trust with a team. You use the phrase.
That's a powerful statement.
It is, and as a matter of fact, when I would have employees that had a bad work record or late to work or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. In the book, I talk about the use of metaphors and how metaphors are one of the most powerful ways to talk to an employee about an issue, right? And the reason it works so well, and I'll give you an example, is there's one natural law with human beings. People support the answers they create. They just do. Right. They support the answers they create, not the ones you create. They support the ones they create. So if you've been late to work, 4 or 5 times in the last couple of weeks, but you had a pretty good record prior to that. And I go, hey, Shannon, I'd like to talk to you for a moment. Intensity 1. Mm-hmm. Right? And I go, do you ever use Uber or Lyft? Have you ever used either one of those services? I would ask you that, literally. And your answer would be?
Yeah.
Okay. And so let me ask this question. So if Uber, you called them and they were late or didn't show up, what would you do the next time?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't use them, right?
Or you might use Lyft.
Yeah, I'd use a different one.
Would you stay with Uber if they kept violating the terms and conditions that they had set with you? Would you do that?
No. Yeah, I wouldn't stay with them.
Okay, so then reliability is important to you.
Yes.
Okay, well, in the last couple of weeks, you've been late like 5 times.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I love that approach.
The point here is that I didn't attack you.
Right.
You got the point because you created the answer in your head. Okay. And I would use examples, honestly. You know, one of my favorite was when people would say that there wasn't a certain standard in work, right? Well, there's no standards. So then you get to do whatever you want. You're saying that, in other words, you get to create how much work you do every day. And then that's just okay with us. I said, so if you take your car to have it repaired and they tell you that they're going to deliver it back to you on a certain day, whatever, right? Should they be making a commitment to you that they can have it, that you'll have it back on Wednesday if you bring it in Monday? Or should they go, hey, it'll be done when it'll be done? And they get to take however long they want, because there's no standard on returning your car. You should agree with that too then, right?
Yes.
Right.
So good to kind of put it back on them and like, how would you feel or
100%.
address this situation
100%.
when it happens in a different way?
That's
so
right.
Good.
You know, another one of my favorites, when people would say, well, I'm 90% effective in my job. And I'd go, is that the very best you think you should be? And they go, well, yeah, that's the best that I think I should be. Okay, so if you have any work done on your house ever, would you expect the roofer to be 90% or the plumber putting your toilet in to be that? Or is that okay with you? Or you must be okay with. So if a roofer came and put 100 shingles down and said, well, you know, 10 of them are going to leak. Are you going to hire them to put that roof?
Right.
100% of the time they go, well, no. I go, well, correct. Okay. So the point here is that the organization has a standard that we deliver what we promise. That delivering what we promise is what you do. And we don't tell the customer, hey, you know, we're going to let 10 leak. I don't know. We put on. So we need some training and some development.
Yeah.
Fair.
Hopefully yours isn't one of them, right?
Yeah, right. So, you know, you may need retraining, but the fact of the matter is that that's why we seek this result we seek, is because we all have that similar expectation in our own lives. Right? Yeah.
I love this, the 4x5 approach. I think it's so good. And I do, you know, if you are a new supervisor, or even if you've been in the role for a while and maybe things aren't going as great, or you just want some additional tips, please go out, get the book. Congrats. You've been promoted. Noel, I ask all my guests to share a power move of the week that someone listening to this podcast could do based on the topic that we talked about today. So if you had to give this new manager a power move of the week, something that you think they should do, what would it be?
I would say the most important thing as a power move, if they're leading people already, even a business owner, is write down on a sheet of paper the values you believe are the most important in your organization or on your team. Write them down. And then have your team do the same thing. Have your team individually say, write down what you believe are the most important things in our business. Okay, and if they write down hitting the profit plan or hitting the business plan or selling a bunch of widgets or blah, 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 right? It means that you haven't communicated. And if your two lists look differently, they might look the same, but if they look differently, right, and have no values on them, like, no, the most important thing about this business is that we have integrity and ethics, and we provide, you know, each other with a space to be able to communicate effectively, right? That we value listening. You know, those things need to be part of that narrative. So I would say to test that theory, write them down, have them write them down, you write them down, because what you want is congruence, especially in values. Value-based leadership gives you great outcomes, right? You can insert many businesses into a business model where everyone's values are right, okay? And too many times, the leader, the owner, doesn't get up in the morning making that important. And the fact of the matter is I made that important with my team, my senior staff. Every day for 30 minutes, as I drove in to the office, I get on the phone with a CFO, director of HR, director of engineering, blah, blah, blah. And this would be their 30 minutes. And the whole point of that wasn't for me to grill them on how we were doing on numbers. It was to make sure we had congruence around how we would approach people and things, right? And those issues would be the frame for that, of course. But that was why, because coaching is what leaders do. The leader is the coach. Coaches coach. Coaches develop. You'll never see an NBA coach in the middle of a game leave the floor and go get a sandwich. Okay. They will be coaching the team 100% of the time when things are going on. There's no different in business life. It is exactly the same.
Yeah. Thank you for that. What a great exercise for that new leader to do. And let's just get everybody on the same page and start from there. So even like I said, if you have been managing this team for a while, this is a good reset potentially. Well, thank you so much, Noel Massie, for being here and sharing your wisdom. You have certainly managed a lot of people in your role, in your history. So thank you so much. I appreciate you being here.
Well, I enjoyed the conversation and the questions. Thanks for those. And if your listeners are looking for me, they can find me at noelmassie.com. And it'll take you to my website, and then you can click into LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever. But I enjoyed it today, and thanks for having me as a guest.
Thank you so much. And go out, grab the book. Congrats. You've been promoted. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead Without Limits and investing in what matters, you. If you found this episode valuable, please share it with a friend or colleague who might benefit as well. This podcast is brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network, your trusted source for stories, trends, and insights in multifamily living. I hope this moved you one step closer to lead without fear, lead without doubt, and lead without limits.